everybody. My name is Tony Scherer. Please silence your electronic devices if you got them. Robert Pinsky, who was the Poet Laureate of the United States, said that poetry's medium is the individual chest and throat and mouth of whoever undertakes to say the poem. And that's why we're here today. We're here today to welcome that, to embrace it, and to enjoy it. Poetry provides opportunities for expression and individualism. Our 9th graders will present poems they have chosen from the Poetry Out Loud website. They will be judged on accuracy, physical presence, voice and articulation, dramatic appropriateness, evidence of understanding, and overall performance. Their English teacher, Andy Baker, has guided them through the process. His experience and expertise are invaluable. Our judges today are Peter Del Negro, former Renberg teacher and administrator and a published poet, Ed Donahue, Renberg teacher, published poet, and Scott Hutchinson, our head of school. English teacher Amy Ma is our accuracy judge, and English teacher emeritus Toby Goodrich will help compile and tabulate the scores. We thank them for their participation, as we thank Sue Warner for the video. 3 9th graders are unable to be here today. Huck Whittemore and Will Cleary are traveling, and we have video, we hope. We certainly do with Huck. We hope we get that from Will. And Anastasia Kinsley is out sick today, so she won't be here. So please adjust your programs accordingly. And we thank everybody for coming. And good luck to the 9th graders.
Bleeding Heart by Carmen Jimenez Smith. My heart is bleeding. It bleeds upwards and fills my mouth with salt. It bleeds because of a city in ruins, the chair, still warm from sister's body, because it'll all be irreproducible. My heart bleeds because of Baby Bear, not finding Mama Bear. And it bleeds to the tips of my fingers like I painted my nails crimson. Sometimes my heart bleeds so much I am a raisin. It bleeds until I'm a quivering ragged clod. Bleeds at the ending with the heroine and her sunken cancer eyes. At the ending, with the plaintive flute over smoke-choked killing fields. I'm bleeding a river of blood right now, and it's wearing a culvert in me for the blood. My heart rises up in me, becomes the cork of me, and I choke on it. I'm bleeding for you, and for me, and for the tiny babies, and the IED bone. It bleeds because I'm made that way. My sloppy heart, a sponge filled with blood to squeeze onto any circumstance. Because it is mine. It will always bleed. My heart bled today. It bled into the streets and the steps of City Hall. It bled into the pizza parlor with the useless jukebox. I've got so much blood to give, inside and outside of any milieu. Even for a bad zoning decision, I'll bleed so much, you'll be bleeding. All of us bleeding, in and out. Like it's breathing, or kissing. And because it is righteous, and terrible, and red.
The Obligation to Be Happy by Linda Besson. It is more onerous than the rights of beauty or housework harder than love. But you expect it of me casually, the way you expect the sun to come up, not in spite of rain or clouds, but because of them. And I smile, as if my own fidelity to happiness were a hidden vice. That downward tug on my mouth, my old suspicion that health and love were brief irrelevancies, no more than laughter in the warm dark, strangled at dawn. Happiness, I try to hoist it on my narrow shoulders again, a knapsack heavy with gold coins. I stumble around the house, bump into things. Only Midas himself would understand.
Sign for my father, who stressed the bun, by David Bottoms. On the rough diamond, the hand-cut field, below the dog lot and barn, we rehearsed the strict technique of bunting. I watched from the infield, the mound, the backstop, as your left hand climbed to the bat, your legs and shoulders squared towards the pitcher. You could drop it like a seed, down either baseline. I admired your style, but not enough to take my eyes off the bank that served as our center field fence. Years passed, 3 leagues of organized ball, no few lives. I could homer into the left field lot of Carmichael Motors, and still, you stressed the same technique. The crouching spring, the lead arm absorbing just enough impact. That whole tiresome pitch, about basics, never changing. And I never learned what you were laying down. Like a hand brushed across the bill of a cap. Let this be the sign. I'm getting a grip on the sacrifice.
By Joseph Bruchac, for Rick Hill and in memory of Buster Mitchell. 1. Steel arches up past the customs sheds, the bridge to a place named Canada, thrust into Mohawk land. A dull rainbow arcing over the new school, designed to fan out like the tail of the Drummond partridge. Dark feathers of the old Whig's pride, mixed in with blessed Cattery's pale dreams of sacred water. 2. When that first span fell in 1907, cantilevered shapes collapsed, gave like an old man's arthritic back. The tide was out. The injured lay trapped like game in a deadfall, all through that day until the evening. Then, as tide came in, the priest crawled through the wreckage, giving last rites to the drowning. 3. Floating on, the cable lifts, girders swing and sing in sun, tap to sky, reflecting wind, long knife blade mirrors. They fall like jackstraws when they hit the top of the big boom's run. The cable looped. The buzzerman pushes a button, red as sunset. The mosquito whine of the motor whirs, bare bones up to the men who stand, an edge defined on either side by a long way down hold papers claim to have ownership of buildings and land. They do not see the hands which placed each rivet. They do not hear the feet walking each hidden beam. They do not hear the whisper of strong clan names. They do not see the faces of men who remain unseen as those girders which strengthen and shape.
Evolution of My Block by Jacob Zanes. As a boy, I bicycled the block, with a brown mop top falling into a tail bleached blonde. Gold-like, under golden light, light colors of noble knights banging on corners. Unconcerned with the colors I bore, a shorty too small to war with, too brown to be down for the block. White knights became brown kings, still showing black and gold on corners now crowned. The block, a branch branded with La Corona, graffitied on garage doors by the pawns. As a teen, I could have beaten the ground, walked in without the beat-down custom. Ward with my cousin, who claimed 2-6, is set on the next block, decked in black and beige, but I preferred games to gangs, books to crooks, wearing hats crooked to the left or right, fighting for a plot, a block, to spot, and mark with the blood of boys who knew no better way to grow up and throw up the crown and be down for whatever.
Snow is deep on the ground by Kenneth Patchen. Snow is deep on the ground, always the light falls, softly down on the hair and the light. This is a good world, the war has failed, God shall not forget us. Who made the snow waits with others. Only a few go mad, the sky moves in its whiteness, like the withered hand of an old king. God shall not forget us. Who made the sky knows our love. The snow is beautiful on the ground, and always the lights of heaven below, softly down on the hair of my beloved.
Entirely by Louis MacNeese. If we could get the hang of it entirely, it would take too long. All we know is the splash of words in passing and falling twigs of song. And when we try to eavesdrop on the great presences, it is rarely that, by a stroke of luck, we can appropriate even a phrase entirely. If we could find our happiness entirely in someone else's arms, we should not fear the spears of the spring, nor the city's yammering fire alarms. But as it is, the spears each year go through our flesh, and almost hourly, bell or siren vanishes the blue eyes of love entirely. And if the world were black or white entirely, and all the charts were plain, instead of a mad weir of tigerish waters, a prism of delight and pain, we might be sure where we wish to go. Or again, we might be merely bored. But in brute reality, there is no road that is right to turn.
Tamer and Hawk by Tom Goode. I thought I was so tough, but gentle at your hands. Cannot be quick enough to fly free and show that when I go at your commands. Even in flight, love, I'm no longer free. You sit me with your love. I'm blind to other birds. The habit of your words has hidden. As formerly, I wheel, I hover, and I twist, but only want to feel. In my possessive thought of catcher and of caught upon your wrist. You, but half civilized, tame me in this way. Through having only eyes, for you I fear to lose. I lose to keep and choose tamer as prey.
Full Moon by Eleanor Riley. My bands of silk in miniver momently grew heavier. The black gauze was regularly thin, the ermine muffled mouth and chin. I cannot suck the moonlight in. Harlequin and lozenges of love and hate, I walked in these. Striped and bragg rigmaroles, along the pavement, my footsoles trod warily on living coals, shouldering the thoughts I loathed and their corrupt disguises clothed. Morality I cannot tear from my ribs to leave them bare, ivory and silver air. There I walked and there I raged, the spiritual savage caged. Behind my skeleton raged afresh, to feel behind the carnal mesh, the clean bones, crying in the flesh.
After a Rainstorm by Robert Wigley. Because I've come to the fence at night, the horses arrive also from their ancient stables. They let me stroke their long faces, and I know, in the now merging moon, how they, a Morgan and a quarter, have been by shake of raindrops, and thus made Appaloosas, ancestral horses of this place. Maybe because it is night, they're nervous, or maybe because they too sense what they have become. They seem to be waiting for me to say something to whatever ancestral horses that might still bide here. That they might awaken from this strange dream, with its stables, fences, and a man who doesn't know a single word they understand.
Fire and ice by Robert Frost. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I always lose a bit of fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and selfless.
An Apology for Her Poetry by Duchess of Newcastle, Margaret Cavendish. I language want to dress my fancies in, the hairs uncurled, the garments loose and thin. Had they but silver lace to make them gay, they'd be more courted than in poor array. Or, had they art, would make a better show. But they are plain, yet cleanly do they go. The world in bravery doth take delight, and glistening shows do more attract the sight. And everyone doth honor a rich hood, as if the outside made the inside good. And everyone doth bow and give the place, not for the man's sake, but the silver lace. Let me entreat in my poor book's behalf, that not all will adore the golden calf. Consider, pray, gold hath no life therein, and life in nature is the richest thing. Be just, let fancy have the upper place, and then my verses may perchance find grace.
City Lights by Mary Avedana. My father, rather a quiet man, told a story if only the one time. Even then, it seemed, he had so little need of being understood. Intervals of years, his silences. Late in his life, he recalled for us that when he was 16, his papa entrusted him to a wagon load of hogs, which he was to deliver to the train depot, a half-day's ride from home, over a hilly dirt road. Lightly he held the reins, light in his heart, the old horses as ever willing. In town at noon, he heard the station master say the train had been delayed, would not arrive until that evening. The boy could only wait. At home, they would wait for him and worry and replace the kerosene lamp in the window. Thus, the day had turned to dusk before he turned about the empty wagon, took his milk-white horses through the cloud of fireflies that was the little town. In all his years, he'd never seen those lights. He thought of this, he said, until he and his milk-white horses came down the last moonlit hill, as if drawn from a distance toward a single flame.
Conquered Hymn by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Sung at the completion of the battle monument, July 4th, 1837. By the rude bridge that arched the flood, their flag to April's breeze unfurled. Here once the embattled farmers stood, and fired the shot heard round the world. The foe long since in silence slept, alike the conqueror silent sleeps. In time the ruined bridge has swept down the dark stream which seaward creeps. On this green bank, by this soft stream, we set today a votive stone, that memory may their deed redeem, when like our sires, our sons are gone. Spirit that made those heroes dare to die and leave their children free, bid time and nature gently spare the shaft we raise to them and thee.
Thanks, ninth graders. We are very proud of you. I hope everyone will stay around for refreshments and conversation after we announce the results. Our runner-up this year is Aubrey Barnes. And our 2018 Rainbow Poetry Out Loud champion is Nicole Remendez.